好了，我们that's a little too hot，我们现在开始我们清法的仪式，就是这样。So we're going to start our Dharma request.
恭请大德圣恒听，为此法会及一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，殊证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to lead suffering and attain bliss and birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranto sucedoye orahudi samya sanputoshe.
南无萨坦陀苏切多耶阿拉诃帝三藐三菩提谢。
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Together, everybody. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture tonight. This is Saturday, August 5th in Berkeley, California, and we are webcasting out to the world via YouTube on our YouTube channel, Dharma Realm Live. So welcome everybody who is joining us currently and who will be joining us after the fact on the archived webcast. And a special welcome to Dharma Masters Xian Du and Xian Xin, 二位法师特别欢迎 from Beijing Longshan Si. Very happy to see you this evening. Great. So we will begin by reciting the name of the sutra and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Avatamsaka Assembly. It's here on the front. And if you'll join me, we recite in Chinese, and it's there on the cover. If you can read the Hanzi, the Chinese characters. If not, read the romanization below. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Hey, does everybody have a copy of the sutra? Please turn to page 10 and page 11. Appreciate how last week I was far, far away. I was in the other side of the country in North Carolina, western North Carolina, Asheville, and enjoying beautiful weather, Blue Ridge Mountains. And Dharma Master Jinfo filled in with the Wuliang Shou Jing, a lecture, and the Dharma wheel continued to turn. So we're back, and we're going to first read in Chinese the paragraph that begins Pi Ru You Ren, Meng Zhong Jian Shen, right there. That's the second paragraph down. And then we'll put it into context. We'll stitch that into the rest of the sutra, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, does everybody find that? We're on page 10. Now again, if you can read the Chinese characters, you're ahead of the game. If you cannot, if you're still learning your characters, it's probably a lifelong learning. I think we're all still learning our characters. But if you would prefer, you can read the Romanized sounds underneath. Okay, do you all see? Somebody who reads the Chinese characters is going to see Pi Ru You Ren. Someone who can't can look down below, and there's P-I-R-U-Y-O-U-R-E-N. That's the Hanyu Pinyin system, Romanized characters, plus there are the tone marks. So you can follow the tones. And maybe you look right past these, but beside each character, we have the Bopomofo, the Goyin Zimu, right? That's another separate romanization system. It's a phonetic spelling, and so there's actually 3 different ways to make these Chinese sounds. Then we're going to go across the page to look at our provisional English translation. Work in progress, but it's our best effort to date. So. Okay, everybody ready? We'll take the whole paragraph. It's a pretty big chunk, but I think it's one big image, so we'll work with that. Ready, everybody? Here we go. 譬如有人梦中见身，堕在大河，为欲度故，法大勇猛，使大方便，以大勇猛，是方便故，即便觉清即便觉悟，既觉悟已，所作皆悉。Okay, continue here. 菩萨一耳，见众生身，在四六中，为救度故，法大勇猛，起大精进，以勇猛精进故，止不动地，既至此矣，一切功用，米不皆悉。二横相横，喜不现前。Okay, good. Thank you for that. Let's go over to page 11 now. Okay, everybody got that? We're on paragraph 3, but it's the middle, right? The middle big chunk. Okay, everybody find it? Here we go. Let's read in unison together with me. Ready? He is like somebody who, in a dream, sees himself fall into a big river, and who, while trying to get to the other side, exerts great effort and does whatever he can to get out of the river. His hard work and expedient skills wake him from the dream, and once awake, all his struggles stop. This bodhisattva is the same in that he sees sentient beings caught in the 4 kinds of rapids, and to help them get to the other shore, break. That word has typo, scratch. Okay, has is a typo. We go to exerts, ready? Exerts great effort and applies great strength. His work and his vigor bring him to the ground of stability. Once there, all his efforts stop. Duality practices and image practices completely cease to appear. Second typo, cease, not ceases. Okay? So, as I say, work in progress, right? Many changes to be made. All right. So, let's put this into the context of where we are. This is the Flower Garland Sutra, the Avatamsaka, Huayanjing. very large text, big sutra. We're in a chapter called the 10 Grounds, sometimes translated as the 10 Stages. You could also, if you think of it like your school experience, it's the 10 grades, right? The 10 grades of the Bodhisattva path. This is one chapter out of 40. And we've been explaining this chapter for many years. But we have reached the 8th ground. So the Bodhisattva is who? He's you could say, a template. The Bodhisattva is a exemplar. He's an example. He's a test Bodhisattva who doesn't have a face, doesn't have a name, doesn't have a gender. You could change every pronoun here to her, and it would read just the same. The Bodhisattva has no race. He's not ancient. He's not young, right? He's a model. This is a model Bodhisattva. It's kind of a cookie cutter, if you think about it, where you have people make cookies. I don't know if anybody bakes cookies. You have dough. And I used to watch my mother do this. It was gingerbread men. That was great, especially around Christmas. And my mother would make the gingerbread dough, right? And then roll it out with a roller, roll it on the sheet, and then take this gingerbread, there's a little aluminum shape, and she would go, bonk, and then pull it up, and then set it down, and there would be a gingerbread man, and she would bump the next one, put it down, bump, like that. So every cookie was the same shape, the identical shape of the gingerbread man. And they were tasty. And then I would come along with the Red Hots. You remember Red Hots? Anybody? Aha! Red Hots. You had to be a certain age and a certain generation. Red Hots are these little candies. They're sugar, but they're super spicy. And those are the eyes. And they were little heart-shaped. And we would put the eyes in. That was my job, And then sometimes she'd put what do you call it? Icing in little layers. David, gingerbread man? Yes? Called bizcochuelos. Cinnamon and nutmeg, yeah. So a Mexican version of that, yeah, great. So the point of that is to say that when you take this little mold, right, the gingerbread man aluminum form, and pop it on the dough, out comes a gingerbread man. And you can decorate him as you want. So the dharmas, plural, the dharma forms taught in the 10 Grounds chapter are the cutter. What's the dough? Me. Body, mouth, mind, nature, and bad habits. And when we apply the cookie mold of the Dharma to my very normal body, mouth, and mind and nature, out comes the shape of the Bodhisattva, in theory. Of course, then you have to go do it. You have to actually practice. But this is the template. Our Bodhisattva in this practice is the picture of how Bodhisattvas should be. This is the ideal. Okay? Of course, when we put a Bodhisattva mold over us, what do we discover? We're too much here and not enough here. So as we cultivate, we fill up where we're deficient and decrease where we're in excess. So that's the idea. So the 10 grounds, we're now on number 8, are gradually more sophisticated, gradually more subtle molds for how a bodhisattva should look, right? And interesting, the word fa, same word that's used to be dharma, when you make fa a verb in Chinese, what do you get? To imitate. 要法他，要像他那样似的，要模仿他。So to fa somebody as fa as a noun is a dharma, a method, a technique, right? Fa as a verb means imitate. So right, stamp, I want to be like the Bodhisattva. I want to be as kind, as compassionate, as forgiving, as flexible as a Bodhisattva, as wise, right? So, here we are in the 8th ground, and we've been talking a lot about this particular portion of the entire 10 grounds chapter. Why? This is the big turning point. Between the 7th and the 8th ground is where the Bodhisattva reaches 不退转, 无生法忍, right? The place of no further retreat. It's called the place where you must have patience, because why? Dharmas no longer arise. In other words, everything that you know about reality here gets turned on its head. And you have to be really patient to, quote, make it through the gate. Right? Otherwise, you'll quit. And that's our passage tonight. Okay? The last couple of weeks we've been talking about this. We've been saying that ever since the 6th ground, the Bodhisattva seemed to take off the runway and go into the air. Today I was on a Delta Airlines, 2 Delta Airlines jetliners, aircraft. Delta did a very nice job. I was happy. And they didn't pay me to say that. I'm a great fan of Southwest, but Southwest doesn't go where I was going. So I had to fly Delta. And I was going, oh man, Delta, oh, good luck. And it was like very pleasant. It was a very nice flight. And there's that experience of it never, ever, ever gets old when you go, you're waiting in line, you taxi out and you're waiting, and you feel the brakes go off, and in the cockpit the pilot is going like that, maybe twice, both sides, right? And you go bump, 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 boom, and up you go. That moment when the plane takes flight, it's a transcendent moment. We're not supposed to fly, right? I can't flap my arms fast enough to get airborne, right? But the plane overcomes weight. Somehow this huge metal bird takes off, right? That's always fun, exciting. On the 6th ground, the Bodhisattva takes off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he's still running down the runway. Okay, still moving. Why? It's practices we know. The 5 ground stages correspond to the 5 paramitas. So, generosity, ethical commitment, patience, vigor and strength, samadhi, right? The first 5 paramitas, pretty much we can all do that. When you get to 6, it's different. What is 6? That's prajna paramita. And it's where the Bodhisattva talks about the 12 links. 12 yin, right? The 12 links of conditioned arising. And essentially, he's talking about creation. In Western terms, that's creation. That's the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures of the Bible begin with the Hebrew Scriptures talking about how God created heaven and earth, right? Hindu Scriptures, the Vedas, talk a lot about creation. You know what's responsible for making the worlds in Hindu Scriptures? Anybody know? Can you all read my mind? Anybody know what I'm thinking of? What is it? How do they begin? They say that the Hebrew Scriptures, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God and good. So what do the Vedas begin with? Om, sound. 5 points. You get 5 points. Good job. Who was that? Okay. 5 points. Good. So, yes, Om, sound creates. Right? Sound has the power to create and to destroy. Sound has the power to destroy. Ask Matangi's daughter, right? Ask Ananda when Matangi's daughter destroyed his samadhi almost with a mantra, sound. Okay, so let's see what we can create. Ready? Nothing, right? Well, you have to know how, I guess. So, sound can create. Okay, here's an example, a pure sound. Right? How wonderful. I'll talk more about that later because I just came back from spending a week where sound ruled. 400 people. So, at the sixth ground, the Bodhisattva talks about creation from the Buddha's point of view. What creates? The mind, and it does it in a pattern of ignorance, conditioning, meaning pulling along, action, activity. And activity pulls along consciousness, right? Yuan, they say, Wu Ming Yuan Xing. And so he describes how everything comes into being because of conditions pulling the next thing into being. And it's a fascinating chapter, but the problem is what? Why does the airplane take off? Remember the analogy? It's because that's very hard to see. Your meditation has to be very quiet before you can experience the subtle movements of conditioned arising. But in the sixth ground, he says, this is going on inside you now. And it's going on inside all of us now, right? Not a theory. This is observation. The Buddha's stillness allows him to see, and he's reporting. So if you're a lecturer on this part, it's hard. It gets really hard at the sixth ground. Why? You can explain giving. You can explain precepts. You can explain patience. Everybody's experienced more or less vigor. Samadhi, you can experience that. Can you experience conditioned arising? You have to take it on faith. Right? The entire sixth ground is the Buddha's talking about how that function works. We're all going to watch and see if Suzanne dares to sit in the front row. 会不会听话? 会. Okay. So that conditioned arising is subtle. It's invisible, but real. Oh boy, take it on faith. Okay, so at that point, what? The plane leaves the ground. Plane leaves the runway, takes off. And then we get to 7. And in 7th ground, the Bodhisattva is talking about what? Expedient wisdom. And what is he doing? He or she is learning how to teach. On the 7th ground, it's about teaching. Expediently. Why? The Bodhisattva can now create himself any way he chooses. He took that knowledge of creation with the Sharinyuan and ran it backwards so he could stop creating also. Because with the linking of the 12 links, if you can break, they say, ignorance, Wu Ming Yuan Xing, ignorance pulls along activity. If you can break ignorance, there's no further coming into being. Ignorance stops, right? Consciousness stops. The 6 senses stop. Contact stops, etc. Okay, all 12. And you're free. That's liberation. So once the Bodhisattva unhooks his nature from this pulling and conditioning, he can come and go as he pleases. Oh boy. And because what makes a Bodhisattva special are his vows, so he follows his vows to teach. And the seventh ground is about coming back in all kinds of forms to teach. Pretty esoteric, it's pretty out there, right? So that's what's going on. Now we get to the eighth ground. And that ability continues. He's getting more and more powerful in his ability or her ability to teach in skillful ways. And the dharmas that he practices now, so far what we've got, what we have in the eighth ground is a description of what this practice does to the bodhisattva so far. That's why in the next couple lectures, the next couple weeks, it gets really amazing because the Buddhas come to the bodhisattva and say, don't quit. Don't stop. Keep going. It says so. Doesn't say so here because we haven't got there yet, but that's what it says. Don't quit. Keep going. Why would he stop? Because it's scary. It's scary to see everything you know be turned inside out. At this point, there's a major change inside the bodhisattva. And to coin it, to put it in a nutshell, consciousness goes to wisdom. There's a real change. Big change. Okay? And here's the thing. It's hard to find anybody who's done it to be able to describe what's going on. Probably if someone did it, they wouldn't tell you. Or, I'm guaranteed they wouldn't tell you. They've done it, So what's really going on? We have to take the sutra, we have to take commentaries to know. But throughout this text, we've been saying over and over and over again that this, if you had to say, what is this like? It's like a science textbook. What is a science textbook? It tells you how to do experiments for students of chemistry, let's say. It's like a chemistry text, biology text, physics text. This is not theory. This is the Buddha's experience. It's a how-to manual. DIY, do it yourself, right? This is for us to do it ourselves. And it's the best word is the word empirical. People should learn that one. Empirical, meaning step E-M-P-I-R-I-C-A, E-M-P-I-R-I-C-A-L, right? Empirical. Empirical means step by step, testable. You test it out, check it out yourself, and go do it scientifically. Okay, do it with that same questioning, open-minded attitude, and test it yourself. That's the Avatamsaka Sutra. People who say, "Oh, that's the highest philosophy of Buddhism." As soon as you hear somebody say that, guaranteed they haven't read the Avatamsaka. That's just one of the things you say. 哇，佛教最高一种哲理. Well, yeah, it contains that, but where? Where's the philosophy in somebody who in a dream sees himself fall into a big river? And while trying to get to the other side, splashes and splashes and kicks and whatever he can does to try to get to the other shore. Is that philosophical or is that descriptive? That's experience, right? It's not theory, right? His hard work and expedient skills awaken from the dream. Once awake, he's not drowning anymore. His struggle stopped. Right? This is human experience. That's what I get. I keep harping on that. I keep, my doctoral dissertation was called The Practice-Centered Interpretation of the Avatamsaka Sutra. Practice-centered. Xing, not li. There is li in here, principle, but it's what you do if you want to become a gingerbread bodhisattva. If you want to get stamped out by the bodhisattva template, the cookie cutter. Okay, so, cool. That's where we are. Ready? We're all caught up now. Kind of got the idea. That's where we come in tonight. What's the bodhisattva like? Well, what do we get? We get a picture, because why? The sutra can't give you the experience. So it gives you something closer to our experience that points to what the bodhisattva must be going through. Okay? That's the P, right? It gives you an analogy, because the experience you can't communicate, so it's big, and so you get something small that we understand. What is it? You ever been dreaming and have something horrible about to happen? And then you pinch yourself, or the alarm goes off, or your dog comes over and licks your face because you were whining in your sleep, The dog lick, 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 and you wake up and, oh, you didn't die. Dreams of falling off a cliff, right? Physical danger. What was the one, what everybody probably has had a nightmare. This is a nightmare. So the bodhisattva has a nightmare, and in the dream, he starts to kick his feet, starts to splash his hands, and gets across the river where he's drowning, wakes up. Oh, saved, right? Okay, that's an experience we might have. Anybody brave enough to share their recurring nightmares? Anybody have one that comes back and back? Sally.
I have experienced watching a bomb go over my head, and I noticed that sometimes there's a medicine involved that might have brought me to that edge, and I've had it repeatedly. Oh, is it? Not feeling well yet.
Got the same color, that's why. Yeah, we got two green mics. Green, that's why.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here we go. Color mics now.
Hello?
Yeah, good.
Better? Oh, I'm
Go for
sorry. Occasionally when I was sick or having strange, deeper sleeps,
Right.
and I've actually pictured a bomb or an atomic bomb going
An
over my
atomic
head.
bomb.
I never know where it ends because
It doesn't land, yeah.
I wake up. But
Okay.
it also entails a different in temperature, different feverish, perhaps.
Fever dreams, correct. Fever dreams, yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Sandy. Pass that mic.
This counts as a nightmare for me. Maybe not for other people, but having to take math tests.
大声一点.
Calculus, especially algebra. I keep dreaming either calculus or algebra. I'm taking these tests that I haven't learned. It's just I have to show up, and it's like time to take the test, and I'm like I haven't even taken the class.
There you go. And being a classroom teacher, that's particularly poignant. Yeah. Any other, I heard a lot of laughter when you said that. That must be a familiar one. Yeah. Common nightmares. Tell me your nightmares. So mine, I have a variety of them. Occasional bad dreams, often connected to food, overeating, One is being on stage and not knowing my lines. Suddenly I'm in a play and I didn't get the script and it's my turn. And just and another one, common apparently because it's found in Jung, Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst, cataloged some of the dreams of his clients, and it's being chased by black dogs. Jung would go, aha, and he would ask questions to elicit any other feelings connected with it. And the dogs are particularly, they have very white fangs, and then it's like, coming after me. And right at the point where they leap to devour, I wake up. And another, also involved being embarrassed on stage, is coming out on stage and not having any pants. Showing up in my underwear on stage. Like having to run and being embarrassed. I'm told that's a common one. Yeah, yeah. And in your pajamas, in your bathrobe. And so if you were to think, what's at risk there is self-esteem. There's no danger to your body of walking out on stage without your clothes on. It's an embarrassment to your pride. What takes a hit is something inside. Your dignity gets hit when you're, So, what's a good teacher? A good teacher is someone who, the Chinese would say, qu chang bu duan, right? He strengthens, he integrates your strengths and bolsters your weaknesses. So he harmonizes your strength. You don't need more where you're already strong. He brings it into harmony, and then he fills in the gaps, right? So Master Hua, Shenhua Shangren, when maybe he knew about my deep fear of being in a play and not knowing my lines, showing up on stage and having nothing to say, and you blow it, you ruin the play. So when my pilgrimage, the 3 steps, 1 bow, first ended, and Marty and I had been bowing around the Buddha Hall at CTTB. We had arrived at CTTB, but we kept bowing, right? Kept bowing around the Buddha Hall. And then Helen Wu, Hu Guoxiang, came up from LA and said, we would like to invite you to go down to Los Angeles to explain the Huayan the Avatamsaka Sutra. And Shifu said, do y'all want to go? Okay, Shifu, no idea. Okay, Shifu. He said, all right, good. This is 1981. So I began lecturing on the Huayan in 1981. And so Shifu said, okay, here's what you do. He says, you guys go down there, lecture twice a day, afternoon and evening. Don't miss, twice a day. And when you go on stage, no notes, no paper. You may not take paper onto the stage as you lecture the Huayan. How long should we lecture, Shifu? 90 minutes. No notes. And I'm like, there's the nightmare immediately. But Shifu, what will we say for 90 minutes when we can't? He said, what you do is you count on your regular, everyday cultivation. Depend on that. Use that. However much you meditate, however strong your precepts are, however calm your samadhi, that's what you use when you meditate. And put your palms together and ask the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to invisibly jiachi, bless you. And if you are sincere and you request aid, then the sutra, your cultivation and your sincerity, and the request of the assembly will come together and give you what you need to explain the sutra, he said. 你们相信不相信呢？不相信，师父。Do you believe it? No, 师父. No, he said, well, try it. He said, that's what I do. He said, you can look at the commentaries during the day. You can look at the Huayan Su Chao, Qingnan Guo Shi during the day. And of course, you want to look at the text to know what's ahead, but do not take anything you prepare with you on stage. Why do you want to serve leftover food to the assembly? He said, 你为什么要给他们要炒冷饭给他们吃啊？不好吃。Right? I never thought of it that way, Shiva. 90 minutes? Sure. You know. So he's, yeah, translate. And he says, you speak and translate for yourself, and then Heng Chao, Marty speaks, and then you translate for him. So you speak 3 times, he speaks 1 time. That cuts the time down, right? So translate really slowly to eat up more time, you know. He said, you know. But, so that's the method that he gave us. And what a wonderful method. Okay, and it's precisely the nightmare, isn't it? It's like, because first time you get up there, and they go around, Gong Qing Da Da Sang, you know, and you go, that. Why is nobody talking? Because you're lecturing. Oh, go away, you know. Until you open your mouth, it's quiet. Nobody's talking. You're the talker. And there's this silence. And when people are waiting, the silence suddenly gets deep. You know, you can hear the silence. The bottom drops out of the silence, you know. And it's terrifying. It's really scary to be there when all you have is what? The method. All you have is the Famen, Fangfa. You have the method. And so you go, you know, humbly request the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and the 3 periods of time to the ends of space and the limits of the Dharma realm to compassionately bless me so that I can have wisdom to interpret the sutra in accordance with the potentials of those in the assembly to benefit all living beings. And you request that, and then sometimes you just close your eyes, you know, and just say, read the sutra. Well, the sutra today is saying, and the amazing thing is, first of all, there's no choice. I've got no notes. It's the Avatamsaka Sutra and me. So what are you going to do? Use the method. And, you know, if I sneak my notebook up, you know, write it on my hand, that doesn't count. You can't write notes on your hand, you know. You can't slip it in your robe so you can look. Nothing, you know, except the method. So you ask for help, and you be sincere, and you know that there are people sitting there who are like, yeah, I want to know about the Buddha's wisdom. This is wonderful. This is the Buddha's wisdom. Please speak for us, you know. So you feel that, and you realize this is a chance to give. How many lifetimes could you seek for an opportunity to give Dharma and not get it, right? What an opportunity to say, yeah, let's look into this together. This is cool. This is so neat. This is the Buddha's wisdom here in English and Chinese and Vietnamese being translated right now. And yeah, let's find out about the Bodhisattva together. Nobody has any thought that I'm wise like the Bodhisattva, but I'm here so we can do it together, right? And suddenly With that thought, it's like you put a foot out and this lotus comes up and supports your foot. And you put another foot out and then up comes this lotus. And sure enough, you're walking over the pond, the ocean of fragrant water. And you're talking. And it's like, I'm to transfer already? Wow, that 90 minutes went fast. You know. And that method makes every single lecture a magical experience. Magic in the sense of, before you sat down, you didn't know what you were going to say. And yet, at the end of the lecture, there's a feeling of 吃饱了, you know. Now you're full. You're full of Dharma. So, there goes the nightmare. The fear was that I didn't have a method, not that I didn't know what to say. Right? So even if you have the method, if you don't know what to say, you know what to say. How wonderful is that? So, we're up to the other side of the analogy, right? How do analogies work? They give you a new picture, and then it's like this for the Bodhisattva too. Like also, same for what we're trying to describe. So it gives you the small picture, the close picture, to describe the big picture and the far picture. All right? This Bodhisattva is the same way. What's the same as what? He sees sentient beings caught in the 4 kinds of rapids, just like the nightmare drowning scenario, right? And to help them get to the other shore, he exerts great effort and applies great strength. Because he does that, his work and his vigor bring him to the 8th ground. Once there, he's safe. Duality practices and image practices completely cease, scratch that S, cease to appear. Okay, now the Heng, Xiang Heng, none of the commentators spend any time with those. They take those at face value. It's just duality. His mind doesn't work that way anymore. And the picture making, the image practices, Xiang Heng, image practices. It's similar to the Dharma image age, which follows the Dharma proper, the right Dharma age. He is now at all times in the right Dharma in his mind. What's happening here is consciousness is flipped to wisdom. There's a change. There's a change in the Bodhisattva now. He or she has really transformed inside. I think probably, chemically, probably the thyroid and the lymph system, the lymphatic and the thyroid and the various, hormonal and the glands are probably functioning in a whole new way. Thinking is different now. Okay? So, what are the 4 kinds of rapids? Aha, we got a list. All right. I confess, I looked this up in the Buddhist dictionary. It's a list. Remember, we talked about how we've got the book full of lists in the back. So 4 kinds of rapids. 4种暴流, 4流. You could also translate it as the 4 floods, like flooding along. 4 torrents. Rapids is pretty good. There's a river in Central California near Yosemite. I think it's the Kern. Is it the Kern River? That claims drownings every year. This year it must be incredible because of all the rain we had. I think it's the Kern River, is it? The Merced, is that it? Both of them. People go out in kayaks, they go out in canoes, and something about those rivers drown them. I was reading an article about it because it's compared to the other rivers, the Kern and the Merced have a huge toll every year. And people, at this point, people go for the thrills because it's like death-defying, you know. Do you know, what is it? Why is people drown there? Rapids?
Number one, it's super cold. It's snow melt. Number one, it's snow melt, water. Freezing. I've tried to dunk in it. I can only last about 7 seconds, and then I can't feel my toes.
Right.
And that's just sitting in down. Like it's about maybe 5 inches deep, and I have to roll up.
Yeah.
So
Cold.
anything deeper than that, you're not going to feel to move your arms.
Okay. So think of that river. I don't know if people have experience with fast-moving water. We don't, it's not something that you, if you're a city dweller, you don't see rivers. We have just been at Buddha Root Farm, Fogandi, our summer camp, and we got this Smith River. It's a slow-moving river. The Smith River is very gentle, happy. Plenty of battery. It's this Smith River has this very friendly kind of flow, even after lots of rain. It was wider this year than I've ever seen it after all the rain. But it's not there's not mountains above it that cause it to run fast. If you've ever seen a fast-moving river, you know how powerful they are. And standing on the shore, it doesn't seem that way, but if you jump in a river that's moving, you realize it takes huge strength to just stay in one place. If you don't exert yourself, down you go. You're moving, right? So that's what a torrent is. Why did the Buddha call them torrents? I'll tell you what they are. Anybody know? Anybody want 5 points for the 4 torrents? Jinchuan. What's that? Told you. See, good monk. He admitted it. Anybody else? Anybody want to go for it? Not if you looked it up, you got to say so. No? Okay. What are they? Let's see if you got the same 4 I have. Gotta give him the mic, please. Microphone.
So one was Jin, views, or...
a little bit louder. Nobody
Jin.
Yes, right.
Jin, views.
Jian liu.
Jian liu. And yu liu, desire.
Desire. You're still...
Desire?
I got off the plane and I'm all plugged, so I can't...
Desire?
Desires.
Okay, desire.
Yeah.
And yo, you say existence?
Existence.
Maybe I think it's referring probably to the form realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, liu, and wu ming liu. I'm guessing that probably refers to the formless realm. The kind of the more subtle. So I think it's probably the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realms. Those kind of torrents, and then as a general category, views.
Okay.
That we might guess.
You want to complete it for the sake of elegance, and why are they called torrents?
That I don't know.
Okay. I appreciate your candor. That's good. So, what is a torrent? What is a rapid? What are rapids? They move. They wash you along. What are these? The 4 torrents. The Buddha called them that because they push us along. And you lose your feet. When you jump in a fast-moving river, nowhere to stand. Can't stand. Think about Master Xu Lao, Master Xu Yin, right? When he was going to Gaomin Si, fell into the river. There you go. There's a torrent. Bumped downstream before he went to Gaomin Si and had his awakening. So we heard from Jinchuan Shi that the first one is Jian Liu, not views so much as viewpoints. opinions. Views that's Chinglish, right? Viewpoints. It's your perspective. There's a good English word, a perspective. It's right? And you put those on, and now you see it one way. That's how it is, right? Well, that torrent does what? It brings you back again and again and again. And every time you think you're seeing it, you're eliminating the other possibilities. So you've set yourself up to a point of view. I think making money is a good thing, right? I won't be satisfied until I have $2 million. Or my life goal is to own a Range Rover, or a BMW convertible, the James Bond car, So that's a view, because you think that kind of automobile gives you the appearance you want. It's for appearances. Okay, is that wrong or bad? No, it's not. It's a viewpoint. And it will stop you. You're going to downstream. The next three, desire, obviously. Desire, what does it do? It pulls you out into the world. I want that BMW. Come back. Samsara, taking you back. Existence, existences, what does it do? You, because of this flood, you're reborn again and again. And from the Buddhist point of view, it happens really fast. For us, it's 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, right? And from the Buddhist point of view, it just happens in a breath. We come back and back and back. The last one is uming. Ignorance is a rushing stream that gives us no place to stand. Right? Ignorance. Yeah. So viewpoints, desires, existences, and ignorance. So viewpoints, points of view, perspectives. What's wrong with them? Again, nothing. But they function in our lives to wash us along, blind to the fact that what? Everything is made from our minds. We take reality to be real and permanently true ever forever, amen, hallelujah. And it's not. It's just a point of view. It's just a way of looking. Okay? So the Buddha said, right, that will bring you back. You're in samsara. You can't leave nirvana with those fixed point of views. Not that we have to avoid having a perspective. We all have perspectives. You need them, but you want to trade the ordinary perspective of an ordinary being for the wisdom perspective of a sage. Okay, you want to have solid perspectives. For example, saying, if I lie, it doesn't matter. That's an ordinary person's perspective. Cause and effect would say, yeah, it matters, because people won't believe what you say, and you'll be lied to and cheated. That's in guo. Cause and effect is true. With that perspective, right, I can lie, I'm free to tell a lie, but you know what? There's a result, which I may not like. So I'll stick to the truth. Okay, that jian, that viewpoint, perspective, that's what you want. So it's wrong to interpret these to say any viewpoint is wrong. It's not true. But you want to trade the faulty perspective for the Buddha's perspective. Okay. Desire, existence, ignorance. They're just like, whew, boy. Okay, this last week I was in a camp. I was teaching at a school in Warren Wilson College, Asheville, North Carolina. Wonderful, amazing, small college. And it's the home every year of the Swannanoa Folk Arts Gathering. And there is something special in the feng and the shui of Western North Carolina. The wind and the water there creates music. Don't know why, but it's true. There's music in them thar hills, and it comes out in people's hearts and fingers and feet and voices, you know. Incredible. So I'm there teaching meditation for musicians, mindful musicians, right? I taught a class with my colleague Steve Boffman called Meditation, Music, and Performance. And the class is, this is our third time now. And three kinds of people come to the class. One kind are musicians who want to learn to play their instrument, and it could be a guitar, it could be a drum, it could be their voice. They want to play their instrument with more focus. They want to learn how to scatter less and be more musical. That's one kind. Another kind is a musician or a performer who wants to use the instrument to approach spirituality. They want to use the instrument as a vehicle for expanding their consciousness as they play, making more connection. There's a third kind of person who comes to the class, and it's someone who experiences anxiety, stage fright. They want to find methods and techniques for transforming performance anxiety to performance energy. How to do it. So it's really fascinating. And we get about a third different people. And I give contemplations. We're now going to contemplate our intention. Why are we here with this instrument in our hands as we perform? If we can say, I am doing this because I want to bring joy to people with my music. Bingo. You put that in your heart, where's room for anxiety, right? Someone else says, I am here because I want to heal the world with music. You know, music has a power, and I want to be part of that. Bingo. You got that's your intention. Stick to it, you know. So that's the kind of thing. Another contemplation that I give to people and expand it and explain it is what? Gratitude. If you're there with that instrument in your hand, and before you start, you go, I'm putting in every vibration I make with my fingers, I am aware that I have received the energy, the care, the concern, and the skills of generations of musicians. I am part of a long tradition of men and women who made music. There are no new notes to play. All those notes have been played before. I'm playing them again with my gift. Gratitude, right? Suddenly it's like, oh yeah, this is big. This is not just me in my little world. I'm afraid I'm going to mess up and you're going to laugh at me, you know. So no, I'm on the shoulders of many wonderful millions of musicians. And there are those to come. I'm carrying it forward. So, like that, okay? So, contemplations. Then what do? We also learn how to meditate. How to breathe from the dantian, how to feel the vibration of your instrument in your hands, in your chest, in your legs, your feet. We point out the value of listening. Where do you listen to music? Do you listen with the soles of your feet? Do you listen to music with the palms of your hands? Do you listen to music with your skin? Do you listen with your inner ear? Sometimes, it's certainly much more than this, right? You don't just listen with your ears. So we talk about that. And we do Qigong exercises, rooting your fingers down to the ground, putting roots from the soles of your feet down through the earth, pulling the energy up, you know. We teach some of Mrs. Chen's Shun Qi Ziran Gong, right? Her natural path, Qigong, and we do yoga breathing. And then we have a fascinating exercise called 30-second good morning hellos, 30-second morning hellos. And the class is usually in the morning. And every student in the class, we're in a circle, this year we had 15 and 2 instructors, takes their instrument, be it a guitar, banjo, we had drums, we had vocalists, and you contribute a sound for 30 seconds. And Steve is there with his watch and his yinqing, his bell. Ding, go. The musician goes, you know, ding. Next, right? And that person goes, ding, 30 seconds. Stop at 30 seconds. The point being, every day, the students in the class get a chance to perform for everybody in the class, and all the habits rise up, just as if you were in Carnegie Hall for 6,000 people, you know. Sure enough, if you just reach for your guitar and start to play, what happens first? Tight. Your solar plexus tightens up, your breath stops, and your hands get tight. It happens across the room. And then we say, what happened? Oh, well, I got so nervous. I'm sweating, says the student, you know. And they'll start to sing and their voice will choke, you know, because they tightened up, you know. Now we're getting somewhere. Did you see that? Did you notice what you did? Would you like to have more choices than those simple habits? Okay, people go, yeah, I would. And so we start doing our various things, and by the third day, people say, I can't believe it. I actually forgot my fear. That I was so aware of giving that music to you across the circle, say to, you know, Gary or Dan or Sue, and they say, I was watching you listening to me and it was so wonderful. I felt that, you know. Yeah, so it's a great class. And we had multiple breakthroughs. One gentleman, won't tell you his name, he is a blacksmith. He puts shoes on horses. That's what he does, right? And first day, he's like, well, I don't really think I can sing. I always wanted to, but I really don't think I can, you know, but I want to. Okay, try it out. The last day was his turn. He sang Angel from Montgomery. Everybody in the room had goosebumps. Because it was like so true and real from his voice and his guitar. And he was totally into his song. We sang for a minute, not 30 seconds on the last day. And it was the most powerful experience. And he came up at the end and said, well, I just wanted to thank you. I think, I don't know, something happened about the third day, and I kind of lost my fear, and I love the music. You know, We heard it. Wow. So, apropos what? What is it about the four floods, the four torrents? They take you off your feet. If you're in a fast-moving river, can't stand. Try to stand in a fast-moving river. Down you go. Right? That's why it's called 暴流. 四暴河, 四暴流, right? Four violent floods, sometimes they're called. They wash you away. There's nowhere to stand. So, what is it? Viewpoints. You make your stand, but you lose sight of everything. By looking through one perspective, if you cling to it, you can't find wisdom because you're clinging to the viewpoint. Right? Desires, where do you stand? You're out. You're already out there seeking for that thing that you think you're going to get and make happy. And you realize it doesn't exist. Down you go. Right? Existence. Born, dying. Reborn, dying. Born, dying. Reborn, and dead. And reborn. Right? Existence over and over and over again. Nowhere to stop. Nowhere to stop. And ignorance covers this. Ignorance is called wu ming, lack of light. We don't know where we are. We can't see. No light. Wu ming. So, avidya in Sanskrit. There's no light there. You don't know where you are. You bump into stuff in the dark because you can't see. Right? There's no home. Nowhere to stand. So, that's the thing about these torrents. He says, what? He sees sentient beings caught in the four kinds of rapids / torrents / floods. Washing downstream. What does he want to do? He wants to help them get out. Leave the river. He wants to give them something to stand on that they can make their home. He exerts great effort and applies great strength. Sure enough, he gets to the ground of stability. And all his efforts stop. Now, it's interesting because the analogy takes a next step, doesn't it? Okay, the dream, look at the dream. He falls in the river, tries to get out, struggles. He wakes up and he stops struggling. Okay, clear, right? So the point is that ceases. How does it go? 所作皆息, right? What he does stops. Okay, Pusa, the Bodhisattva, is the same in what he sees living beings in the river. He pulls them out. Then what happens? The Bodhisattva gets to the eighth ground and he stops. What is being pointed at here? It's not on the surface. We're talking here about Gong Yong Heng. That was what happened above. And Wu Gong Yong Heng. We're talking about cultivation that requires you to work your mind. Like what? Like me and my mantra. Namo Hula Dano Dola Ye Ye Namo Ali Ye. You have to remember, right? Can anybody recite the Shurangama on automatic pilot yet? Right? Does the Shurangama recite itself? Anybody? You don't have to answer that. Don't brag. But wouldn't that be great? Shurangama mantra. Ooh, 15 minutes. Can you like put it on the track and it just goes by itself and you're never wrong? That would be the equivalent. For me, I'm still going, let's see, now that's the Di San Hui. Okay. I have to work at it, right? You have to work it. That's Gong Yong Heng. The Bodhisattva now is completely on automatic pilot because there's nothing inside to stop it. His self is done. His 我相, 我见 is now gone, right? He's transformed it. So inside, right? Remember Shifu? There's a great story. Not everybody has heard. But those who have, be patient, right? Master Hsuan came into the Chan session, 1980, CTTB. Came into the Chan session, it was like day number 5, and everybody after lunch is like that. Blood sugar and low, And so Shifu comes in, he goes, "You all don't know how to meditate." He says, "Do you know I am always reciting the Buddha's name? Not like you, not all messed up. I never forget where I am. I know exactly how many names I've recited, all the time." And we're like, okay, here we go. I'm the Chan. And he says, "You all think you can meditate. Did you know that I am always reciting sutras? I always recite, I'm never not reciting sutras. And I always know where I am. I never lose my place. Any line. Can you do that?" And we're like, "But Shifu, you said you're all, you mean at the same time, Shifu?" "You all think you have Kung Fu." He says, "You know I am always reciting mantras. I never not recite mantras. And I always know where I am. I never lose my place. I know how many I've recited. Can you all do that?" He says, turns around, walks out, slams the door. Boom! It's like, at the same time, Shifu, You just, what could he mean? And he wasn't showing off. First of all, he was trying to shake us up, for sure. But he would never, rarely would Shifu let on what he does. You just wouldn't know. How does Shifu Yong Gong, how does he work? Well, apparently, Shifu has 3 tracks running simultaneously. And he never is careless. He never messes up. So, okay, that's great. Is that what's going on here? I don't know, but it's the Bodhisattva, all his efforts stop. Above, we notice on the paragraph above, last line, De Wu Gong Yong Fa, right? Ji she yi che gong yong heng, de wu gong yong fa. For him, all karma of body, mouth, and mind, and all subtle connections of thought cease. He rests in response practices. He realizes the teachings of effortlessness. Something has happened here. Now, I don't know what that is, but the sutra gives us a picture so I can kind of get it. What is it? It's like somebody dreaming they're drowning and they wake up and they're saved. And they stop once they're saved. They stop struggling in the water. They don't kick and paddle anymore because they're on the bank, they're on the shore, not going to drown. Stop struggling. The Bodhisattva in the 8th ground does the same thing. He sees living beings drowning, and he exerts great effort and applies great strength, gong yong heng, to get them out. Once they're saved, he stops and he reaches di ba di, the 8th ground. And gong yong heng, stop. He reaches wu gong yong heng, new level, new place. Okay? So that's how the analogy works. Duality practices stop image practices. I guess image practices could also, you could say, be contemplations. Contemplation. Okay. So the sutra goes on to give us like more analogies, more pictures, so we can kind of understand what's going on. It's different for the Bodhisattva in his mind right now. Different. One of the fun parts about teaching meditation to beginners is you get to recall, you get to remember what it was like when you were first meditating. What was it like to sit still and to go inside? Not so easy. Probably the number one what's the word? Blink. Stereotype. The number one stereotype, the assumption that new meditators make is what? Let's guess, Michael, if you said, what's people's number one wrong view about meditation, the ordinary person? What would it be? What do most people think you do when you're meditating, who have no idea what it is?
Most people would probably assume you're up in the clouds. Like
You're up in the clouds.
You're not here. You're idealizing like a utopian like kind of fantasy.
In a fantasy.
You're not like grounded in reality. Yeah.
All right? That's one of them, for sure. They assume you're a sky pilot. You've left the world, right? Good, cool. What else? Anybody else? Mr. Dentist there, Kevin. People who don't meditate, when they look at a meditator, what's the first thing they think?
They are Asians.
They think it's Asian.
Mystic. Eastern stuff.
No doubt. What do they say? Woo woo. Right? You go woo woo. Roberto, first thing. What's the first stereotype about a meditator?
Their mind wanders.
Their mind wanders. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay, thank you. The guy with the microphone, Alan. What's the first thing people think?
Almost like they normally will put meditation with like a Peace Corps environmentalist, someone who really kind of, I don't know, cherish environment against the development. They put that out equals, you are the meditator, so you must
You're
be...
a tree hugger,
yeah,
right?
very similar to that.
Birkenstock wearer, granola eater, yeah. Hippy dippy, yeah. Okay, none of those. That's not, you're all right. Those are all good. The one I was looking for is the one that I get every time, which is they assume they're supposed to think of nothing. Right? I know I'm supposed to not think of anything here. Is that right? Right, they say. I realize I put on my accent too, because that's what. This last week, we taught meditation to 15 folks from Virginia, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, one gentleman who drove from Louisiana, and from West Virginia and Connecticut, nobody from New York, and a couple from California. And so they assume they're not supposed to think, right? That their minds are supposed to be blank. And so what do you do when you think that? You set yourself up for failure right away. Because why? It's not going to happen. It's not supposed to happen. I guess if I ask the question differently, I would say, what do people assume is supposed to happen when you meditate? That would be the question to ask. People assume, does anybody sitting here right now assume that's what's supposed to happen? Okay? No? Okay, you must be real meditators, because when you sit still, what you discover is it doesn't fall quiet. Sixth patriarch, right? There's even a whole chapter of this meditator named Wolun who comes up and says, when I meditate, my mind is blank. What do you think about that? The sixth patriarch's answer is, my mind's moving all the time. It's never blank. So I have to talk about what's, quote, supposed to happen. And what I say is, every time I hear supposed to, I get ding, 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 alarm. No pattern. No such thing as what's supposed to happen. When I meditate, every single time it's different. My meditation is different. If I meditate 50 times, 50 differences. Different jing-jie, different states. So, the mind, in my experience, is just like the other senses. You're not supposed to see things? I'm not supposed to see. No, your eye functions fine. You see everything that comes in front. Is your ear supposed to not hear? No, your ear organ touches the dust of sounds, the object of sounds. Tongue organ touches the object of flavor and taste, right? Mind organ touches the object of dharmas or thoughts and states. Okay, so that's interesting right away. Everybody got a songbook? Page 52, 52. When we get to samadhi, now things are different. Okay. Samadhi is another story. Samadhi is a state of a meditator who is skillful, and things are different for the meditator. Now there is a place where coarse thoughts cease and subtle thoughts cease. Our eighth ground, Bodhisattva, has gotten there. What's the difference? Samadhi. In my analogy, I call it samadhi shoes, right? Which is, there's no such thing as samadhi shoes. It's just a way of talking about walking the path to samadhi. Okay. Those of you who know it, please sing. We're going to sing this. We're going to do announcements, transfer the merit. We're done. Okay, here we go. The Buddha got enlightened underneath a tree. His mind was like a round full moon, 'cause he entered samadhi, put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calm your mind and body, say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. I hear some voices raised in song out there. Fear not, it'll do you no harm. Sing along. Samadhi concentration comes from precepts pure. Tame your body, mouth, and mind. Walk through samadhi's door. You put on samadhi shoes. Chorus is above. Put on samadhi shoes. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calm your mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. I held my precepts purely when sitting in the hall, but when I walked out that zendo door, I couldn't hold the rules at all till I put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Calm your mind and body, say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Now, what can distract your samadhi if it's not that strong? My eyes attached to beauty, my ears love pretty sounds. But when it's time to meditate, my mind turns upside down till I put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Tame your mind and body, say goodbye to the blues. Walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Now samadhi tames my senses. I turn the light around. My thoughts are like a gentle stream, and I hear compassion sound when I put on samadhi shoes. Put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes, calm mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi. Now you guys have heard it 6 times now. No excuse for not singing along. My parents used to bug me. I could do nothing right until they learned to meditate. Now they never get uptight, 'cause they put on samadhi shoes. Does it happen, your parents? Put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes, tame your mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes. Now here's the secret to true Kung Fu, carrying your samadhi to work with you or to school. I meditate each morning. I join the marketplace because I wear samadhi shoes. There's a smile upon my face 'cause I put on samadhi shoes. Last chance. Put on samadhi shoes, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes, mind and body. Say goodbye to the blues, walking all the way to Buddhahood. Put on samadhi shoes, put on samadhi shoes, put on samadhi shoes. Okay, try it out. All sizes, what's one size fits all, right? Is that true? Now, on sale, discount on samadhi shoes this week. Do you have something in red? Yeah. Samadhi but I put on samadhi sandals. No, that doesn't work. Samadhi clogs. Okay, Jin Chuan Shi, do we have anything to announce?
Tomorrow we have a all-day Buddha recitation starting at 7:30 in the morning, going to 5 p.m. So if people would like to come and join, you can just come at 7:30. Lunch is provided, and at the end, I think they all have a little bit of a snack before they leave. But other than that, I think that's all we have. We have the regular schedule. Thursday night, the East Bay Insight Meditation, and Saturdays we have our regular Sutra lecture. The regular fall semester classes will either start in end of August or early September, depending on the teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should announce that my Friday noon, 6 Patriarch Sutra class will not be happening again this week because I'm going to be recording the next CD of songs that we've been singing for quite a while but have never put to tape. So it happens we've reserved the studio for 3 days, and Friday is one of those days. And if I had you want to stand in for the 6th Patriarch lecture? So until we'll talk to Chan Yu and Huang Lan, the people who are our coordinators, to see whether we can enlist a substitute. But I will be busy, and the recording happens just once every last time was 2009. This is the next time. 8 years between the last recording. So let people know. Any questions or comments from? Yonder?
Basically, how do I practice to conquer the desire to sleep? I would like to practice to start getting up at 4 a.m. to practice my chanting.
Do it one more time, Simon.
How do I practice to conquer the desire to sleep? I would like to practice starting getting up at 4 a.m. to practice my chanting.
Okay. Turn that one off. Yeah, the green. The question was online, how do I cultivate to, the word was conquer, right, the verb? Conquer the desire for sleep. Person wants to get up early to chant. A really good method is to go to sleep earlier. No magic? How about that kung fu, huh? Transmit the Dharma to you. Go to sleep early, right? So there was a famous disc jockey. I believe he was in New York, not Boston, but New York. Can't think of his name. Had a wonderful, deep announcer's voice. He had one of those, radio voices. And he'd say something like,
"Now, this song is coming out for Jody and Susan, and dedicated by their mom."
And so it was one of those voices. And he was the early morning wake-up voice of New York City. His show began at 6, I think. And so he went, and everybody loved him and listened to him for years. And his secret was he went to sleep at 9 o'clock because he was up brewing his coffee at 3 and had to do all the prep to go on the air at 6. No magic, right? So there's lots of sleep-deprived meditators. I was reading, and yet, I was reading the biography of a monk in Taiwan today, Qingyan Fashi, who left a flesh body, 肉身菩萨, Qingyan Fashi, Taiwan. When he died, his body did not decay. He just stayed perfect, And he was in the habit of getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. What did he do? He got up at 2 o'clock and recited the Buddha's name. He was a Pure Land cultivator. I'm going to sneeze here. And sure enough, nobody knew him. He was really good at low profile. He hid out in plain sight. And he arranged with his disciples to put his body in a big pot, a crockery pot, porcelain pot, clay pot when he died. And they did it, there's a method in Buddhism. And they opened it up 3 years later, and his skin was perfectly soft, and his joints still moved, and he was still sitting, didn't decay. In other words, when it came time to die, he had choices. He had control. They call it in Chinese, 来明去百, right? Clarity on coming and going. In other words, control over birth and death. He did what the Buddha did. He ended the 四流, turned it around. So he was famous for sleeping 4 and 5 hours a night. What do you think? Try it. Maybe taper off. What I would recommend, if you're really serious about it, you're not just kind of like going to throw yourself at it and then quit in a month. I would recommend doing it in increments. Doing it, sleeping 15 minutes, getting up 15 minutes earlier, and gradually increase. Not eating dinner will help you. If you fill your stomach before you go to sleep, your digestion factory is churning, and it makes you very loggy when you wake up. If you want to wake up crisp and sharp and pop, eyes open out of bed. At night, reduce solid food, switch to something like soy milk or a protein shake if you care to, but don't put things in your stomach after sunset that's going to require lots of digestion. Sounds hard, doesn't it? Right away, oh, no thanks, I don't want to do that, I like dinner, Okay, but the question was, I want to get up early and cultivate. How do you do it? Monks, most Buddhist monks stop eating at noon. Theravada monks, they stop eating at noon, right? So not only no dinner, but no snacks, So meditation bit by bit fills you up. Before long, your meditation is as good as food. And then, wow, you're up in the morning, ready. So, but nothing beats sleep. Stick to the middle way. You can't beat the middle way. Over time, you'll find yourself creating all kinds of troubles if you force staying awake, right? If you're practicing getting up really early, don't drive your car the way you used to. If you think nothing else is going to change, you're just going to get up earlier, and you cut your sleep off, you're going to be at risk for an auto accident. What percentage of auto accidents are sleep deprivation? Falling asleep? A huge percentage. Something like, 35% of accidents have to do with the driver being drowsy, right? So, be careful. Changes that you make gradually, you can sustain. Changes that you make dramatically, you will abandon before long. Okay? So, try it. Encourage you to do it. Living in the monastery, it's not so hard. Living at home, it's really hard. Okay, last page. Dedication of merit. I'd like to encourage everybody to transfer, to dedicate your merit as you choose. This is an interesting dharma, too. I taught 2 classes at Swananoa. One was the meditation and musicians class. The other was 7 o'clock meditation. I held the space and allowed people to come as they chose, 7 o'clock every morning. And it's fascinating because the culture at Swananoa, the evening programs finish around 10, the performances and all. Then it's jam time. And there are 400 musicians there and contemporary songwriters, 2 schools at once. And everybody brings their instrument and goes out under these tents. It's dark out, there's lamps, and you sit in a circle and play songs. You play your instrument with everybody. Everybody knows the same songs, and you do song circles, contribute a song, and then the guitar passes around. And so people stay up until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, exchanging all the songs they know. There's an entire evening of Beatles. The Beatles night, 200 people show up and sing at top of their lungs the Beatles songs. Amazing. So anyway, everybody stays up late. How many people come to meditate? First day, 7. Second day, 12. The third day, 13. Day number 4, 8. The last day, 7. Right? But those 7 came back and back and back. The people who don't jam. Right? So what's so much not fun, what's so interesting is explaining 回向功德 to people who never heard the idea. Transference, dedication of merit. And I use all the words. It's a giving with the mind. It's a transference. You dedicate it. The difficult part is convincing people that sitting still creates merit. What is merit? People go, I kind of get it, but I never thought of it, you know. That there's something to give after meditation. And I always do it the same way. I always explain it the same way. And half of the group goes, oh, thank you. I say, the Catholics do it all the time. Petitionary prayer. Jews do it all the time. Tikkun olam, repairing the world. The Buddhists say, you have this goodness to share. So do it. Say, take that merit. Give it away to fill in the blank with the wish that fill in the blank. Who do you want to give it to? What do you want to have happen? Do it. It's yours. Make sure you do it. It's a chance, you know. Minds touch. There's nowhere in space that minds don't touch. There's no fences in space. When I say it that way, people go, oh, yeah. Okay, sure. And they're, you know, I'm sharing, I'm transferring. You know. Beep, 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 beep. Why not? Why not? Okay, so here we go. Make that wish. Beep, beep, beep. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. All become compassionate and wise. Okay. As Esther Hua would say, 是道之进，非道之退，在善而从，不善而改。If it's the Tao, advance. If it's not the Tao, slow down, step back. Pick what's good of what you heard and cultivate it. Pick what's out of sync with you and change it inside. So see you all next week. Amitofo. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. 南无大放光佛华严经。